Dear learners, the micro, small, and medium enterprise sector constitutes a vital component of India's economic framework, contributing significantly to the employment generation, industrial output, and exports. This is something that we've discussed in our lectures so far. So, recognizing this strategic importance, the Government of India has introduced a range of policy measures and institutional schemes that are aimed at promoting, supporting, and enhancing the competitiveness of MSMEs. In this lecture, we'll examine these measures and initiatives, highlighting how they collectively seek to strengthen the sector's capacity to roll out schemes for these MSMEs. These provisions are contained under the Chapter 4 of the Act, which is titled as Measures for Promotion, Development and Enhancement of Competitiveness of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises. So the chapter is Chapter 4, which contains the provisions for the incentivization of the enterprises, or what we call as the promotion, development and enhancement of competitiveness of micro, small and medium enterprises. Now let us peruse section 9 of the Act. So as you can see on the slide, we've broken down this section into different parts for the benefit of our learners, as the definition is a bit wordy and technically worded. So the section reads that the central government may, from time to time, for the purposes of facilitating the promotion, development and enhancing the competitiveness of MSMEs, particularly of the micro and small enterprises, by way of development of skill in the employees, technological upgradation, marketing assistance, infrastructural facilities, and cluster development of such enterprises with a view to strengthening backward and forward linkages. Specify by notification programs, guidelines, or instructions as it may deem fit. Now let's understand what the section says, or what the provision says. So the authority here is central government, which is vested with the power to launch certain programs, guidelines, or give instructions by way of notification for the purpose of facilitating the promotion or for the development or enhancing the competitiveness of MSMEs. Now the purpose is capacity building. This capacity building may be in form of skill development of the employees of MSMEs or their management or of the entrepreneurs. Or for the technology upgradation. Technological upgradation means that they're upgrading their technology, whichever is used, to a higher technology level. For instance, from we were earlier using 3G, then we moved to 4G, now we are on 5G. Then for the purposes of marketing assistance or for the purpose of infrastructural facilities or cluster development, that is the organization into different groups. So 3 or 4 enterprises together may form a cluster. The objective is to provide capacity building for strengthening the backward and forward linkages of these enterprises. So what are backward and forward linkages? The backward and forward linkages refer to the connections of an enterprise within the what we call as production chain. So the backward linkages strengthen the ties with suppliers of raw material, while forward linkages enhance access to markets and buyers. This enables MSMEs to integrate more effectively into the broader industrial and economic system. This notification or these programs or measures for promotion and development is done through official notification by the central government. It may be in form of programs, guidelines or instructions for the so these measures may be in form of programs, guidelines or instructions for the promotion of or development of these MSMEs. Moving further, Section 10 deals with the credit. So credit here for MSMEs in India refers to the financial assistance in form of loans or financial products that are provided by either banks or financial institutions or through government schemes. This credit may be in form of loan, or it may be a working capital loan, a term loan, or other financial products that are designed to support business operations, expansion, technology upgradation, or export needs. Now, the Section 10 of the MSMED Act of 2006 stipulates that the policies and practices in respect of the credit to micro, small, and medium enterprises shall be progressive. So, the word here used is progressive, and such may be specified in the guidelines or instructions issued by the RBI. So they have to be either progressive or such as it may be specified in the guidelines or instructions that are issued by the RBI from time to time to ensure that there is smooth as well as timely flow of credit to these enterprises and to minimize the incidence of sickness so that they do not fall into something what we call as bad loans or in debt, and to enhance their competitiveness. So the idea of giving credit is that it has to be progressive, ensure free, timely and smooth flow in order to minimize the incidence of sickness and to enhance the competitiveness. So this is a negative provision and this is a positive. So this is something that has to be reduced, this is something that has to be enhanced. Next, an important aspect is the procurement preference policy. So we've dealt with credit, we've dealt with the incentives. The other thing is, now what about the product that has been produced by these enterprises? So the government has also made certain provisions so that these products or services offered by these enterprises are adequately sold, have a due share in the market. For this purpose, Section 11 provides the procurement preference policy. It states that for facilitating promotion and development of micro and small enterprises. So this provision is only for micro and small enterprises. The central government or the state government may, by an order, notify from time to time preference policies in respect of procurement of goods and services produced or provided by micro and small enterprises by its ministries or departments as the case may be, or its aided institutions and public sector enterprises. So it may be for ministries, for the government departments, or its aided institutions or public sector enterprises. So the idea here is that the government will not only aid the enterprises in the manufacturing by credit and all that, it will also help in the sale of products. So what the government does is that it has mandated that certain ministries, departments and the government aided institutions, the public sector undertakings or enterprises will procure certain quantum from these enterprises only, certain goods and services. Section 12 of the Act provides for funds. So it says that any fund that will be constituted by notification for the purposes of MSMEs shall be the fund wherein the credit of the grant given by the central government under section 13 will be credited. So there'll be a fund, as we have the Consolidated Fund of India, the state funds. There'll be one fund that will be notified by whatever name the government wants, and that fund, if it's constituted for MSMEs, the entire amount of grant that the central government gives to MSME sector, that will be credited into that fund. Now, the administration of that fund and the utilization of that fund is provided under section 14, which states that the central government shall have the power to administer this fund of funds in such manner as may be prescribed. Secondly, the fund has to be only used for the purposes of the promotion of MSME measures and nothing else. Thirdly, the government will ensure that there is timely utilization and release of funds, which is an important and crucial aspect, because it's something which is very important for the MSMEs to operate. There should be free flow of credit and the continuous flow of credit. Now, if we look at the budgetary outlay of ministry, we'll realize that the significant amount that has been allocated to this sector is one of the major indicators of the significance it holds for the Indian economy or the economic development of India. So from 7,011.29 crore rupees in 2019 and 20, there has been a significant increase to rupees 23,168.15 crore rupees in 25-26. The increase of 16,157 crores within a time span which is less than a decade indicates the significance of these MSMEs and the priority government is giving to them. Now, with the various schemes in place, the access to credit has improved with an increase in the credit guarantee cover for micro and small enterprises, startups, and export-focused MSMEs. There are certain measures that are being taken for MSMEs by the government. We've discussed that these measures have a legal backing under the Act. Now, what these measures are, we'll be discussing here. So there are various schemes that are in place that have facilitated the access to credit with the increase in credit guarantee cover for these small and micro enterprises, startups, and export-focused MSMEs. Now, being a major contributor to India's industrial landscape, the MSME sector plays a major role in manufacturing, exports, and employment. So today we have 5.93 crore registered MSMEs, which employ more than 25 crore people. So these enterprises have a significant share of employment generation in our country. The MSME related products accounted for 45.73% of India's total exports. This reinforces the country's position in the global as a global manufacturing hub. Now, the new budgetary provisions of the financial year 25-26, they aim to build on the strong foundation for fostering innovation, enhancing competitiveness, and ensuring better access to resources for MSMEs. So there are various steps that the government has undertaken to equip these MSMEs with tools needed to expand their reach and strengthen their contribution to the Indian economy. First one is enhanced credit availability. So the credit guarantee cover for micro and small enterprises has been increased to 10 crores, enabling additional credit of 1.5 lakh crore over 5 years. Startups will see their guarantee cover. The startups guarantee cover has been doubled from 10 crores to 20 crores with a reduced fee of 1% for loans. With a reduced fee of 1% for loans in 27 priority sectors. Similarly, the exporter MSMEs will benefit from term loans of 20 crores with enhanced guarantee cover. Now, there's also something called credit cards for micro enterprises. So, a new customized credit card scheme of rupees 5 lakh in credit is being provided to micro enterprises that are registered on the Udyam portal. So, registration is necessary so that you have access to all these schemes of the government. So, this credit card scheme gives credit cards to 10 lakh cards that will be given in the first year of the launch of this scheme, and the credit limit is up to 5 lakhs. Now, there is another support for startups and first time entrepreneurs. So, a new fund has been constituted of 10,000 crores to expand support for startups. A scheme for 5 lakh first time women, scheduled caste, scheduled tribe entrepreneurs will provide term loan of rupees 2 lakh crores every 5 years, incorporating the lessons of the Stand Up India scheme. Now, there's also great focus on labor intensive sectors. A focused product scheme, there's focus on one product for the footwear and leather sector, will support design, component manufacturing, and non-leather production, footwear production. So this scheme focuses on footwear and leather sector. It will provide support design in terms of component manufacturing, and it will also provide for non-leather footwear production. This is expected to create 22 lakh jobs in India and an annual turnover of 4 lakh crores. Now, another important scheme is the toy manufacturing scheme, or the incentive for toy manufacturing sector. So, the toy sector will promote cluster development and skill building, positioning India as a global toy manufacturing hub. For these purposes, the government has also envisaged the establishment of a National Institute of Food Technology, Entrepreneurship and Management in Bihar to boost food processing industries in eastern region. So because it's a hub for food, so the government is now shifting the focus there with establishment of institute in Bihar. The other sector that is being benefited is the manufacturing and clean tech sector. So, under the National Manufacturing Mission, it will provide policy support and roadmap for MSMEs, small, medium, and large industries under the Make in India initiative. The specific emphasis will be on the clean tech sector, or the industries that are involved in clean tech manufacturing that will foster domestic production of solar PV cells, EV batteries, wind turbines, high voltage transmission equipments, etc. Now, another important scheme is the PM Vishwakarma scheme. It's an important scheme and a very ambitious project of the government. It was launched by the Government of India with the view to enhance the quality and reach of products and services that are provided by artisans and craftspeople. The idea was to integrate them into the domestic and global value supply chains. The scheme, announced in the year 2023-24 budget, was launched on September 17, 2023. Its idea is to provide comprehensive support to Vishwakarmas, that are the artisans and craftsmen, to provide or improve their socio-economic status and quality of life. So we have 2.65 crores submitted applications on this portal, which is a very huge number, and 27.13 lakh registered Vishwakarmas, which is a big figure in indicating the significance of the scheme and the success. It is a fully funded scheme by the Government of India with an initial outlay of 13,000 crores for 2023-24 to 27-28. The scheme includes certain benefits, which is first, recognition as a Vishwakarma. This enables one to be a beneficiary of the scheme. There will be a 5-day basic training program for those who are registered applicants of this scheme, and those who opt for credit support on this scheme, they'll be provided collateral free credit, that is without any third party guarantee as we have in the terms of normal loans. So the idea is to provide incentive to the free first time entrepreneurs, so they don't have the burden of having a guarantor. They can just apply under the scheme and obtain credit to start their business or to uplift their business of crafts. The other benefit will be of skill upgradation, and the another important objective of the government is to bring these Vishwakarmas of craftspeople in the mainstream by leveraging the benefits of digital payments and digital business. Further, the government also wants to do their digital empowerment and provide a platform to them for brand promotion and market linkages to help them access new opportunities for growth. So the Vishwakarmas, as we discussed, include the artisans and craftspeople nationwide. I mean, across India, people are eligible if they're artisans or craftsperson, and only one member from one family will be given benefit of this scheme. So one family will have the access to this scheme each. No family can have more members having the benefit of the scheme, and the government has also classified what will constitute the family. The eligibility criteria for the scheme is that the artisan or craftsperson should be somebody who works with bare hands and tools, no use of machine, must be of 18 years of age, and must be involved in any of the craft or arts that is specified in the 18 categories of family-based traditional trades, should be a part of the unorganized sector or should be self-employed, must have not availed any loan from the state or central government scheme in the last 5 years, and should not be employed in the government service. So the family member or them, they should not be employed in the government service to be a beneficiary of the Vishwakarma scheme. The next important scheme is the Prime Minister's Employment Generation Program. It's a credit-linked subsidy scheme for providing employment opportunities through establishment of micro enterprises in the non-farm sector. So an important aspect here is that this scheme is for the benefit of only micro enterprises operating in the non-farm sector. Under the scheme, the margin money or the subsidy is provided to beneficiaries availing loan from banks for setting up new enterprises. The maximum project cost could be 50 lakh in case of manufacturing sector, 20 lakh in terms of service sector for the benefit of the scheme. So the subsidy is provided, but there's also a limit that's been imposed, and it's only for micro enterprises operating in non-farm sector. A notable development under the scheme or this program is that it includes the aspirational districts and transgenders. It's a very inclusive scheme in terms of the people who could be benefited, specifically making a special provision for these. They've been included in the special category. Additionally, the government has made an important requirement, that is the geo-tagging of these Prime Minister Employment Generation Programs. So any unit that is beneficiary of these PMEGP will have to capture details of the product and services offered and link them through geo-tagging so that there is a market linkage created and it's known that which area it belongs to. Further, the aspirational district program, it's basically a program which has the objective of transforming 112 most underdeveloped districts across the country. The broad contours of the program are convergence of state and center schemes, collaboration of state, central level nodal officers and district collectors, and competition among districts through monthly delta ranking, all that is driven by a mass movement. Now, an important facet here is the entrepreneurship development program, which is something very useful for these enterprises, that a free two-day training program is provided to the beneficiaries of the PMEGP. Now, it's important to note here that the subsidies under the PMEGP vary by categories. So in special categories, which includes the scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, OBCs, the other backward classes, minorities, women, ex-servicemen, transgenders, differently able, people living in the northeastern regions, aspirational hill region districts people, the hill regions, the border areas, or people living in the island territories are eligible for a subsidy of 25% if the area falls in the urban area, and 35% in case of rural areas. Similarly, the general category applicants are eligible for a subsidy of 15% in urban areas and 25% in rural areas. Moving further, the key achievements of the scheme includes, so the scheme has achieved significant milestones. In 23-24, this scheme supported, when I say 23-24, I mean the financial year of 2023 and 24. The scheme supported 89,118 enterprises, facilitating entrepreneurship across various sectors. It disbursed 3,093.87 crore amount as margin money or subsidy, enabling small businesses to scale operations and sustain growth. It also generated employment of 7,12,944 people, reinforcing the PMEGP's role in strengthening self-employment and job creation nationwide. Now we discussed the public procurement policy earlier in this lecture. Now we'll discuss what this policy is for MSMEs. It is directed at helping MSEs, that is the micro and small enterprises, with sale in their products. This policy mandates that 25% of the procurement of central ministry, its department, and central public sector enterprises has to be done from micro and small enterprises. Out of this classification, or out of this 25% reservation, 4% is reserved for MSEs, micro and small enterprises that are owned by scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, or 3% is reserved for the micro and small enterprises that are owned by women entrepreneurs. Further, 358 items are also reserved. These items are to be exclusively procured from MSEs, that is the micro and small enterprises. The scheme was introduced by Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises in the year 2012 with the objective of promoting their participation in government procurement and enhancing their market access. So in the year 23-24, the central ministries, departments and CPSCs procured a total of whopping 74,717 crore worth of goods and services from the MSEs, that is the micro and small enterprises, which constituted 43.71% of their total procurement. This policy also benefited 258,403 MSEs, ensuring they had access to significant business opportunities and support through government procurement. The other important scheme is the Safurti, or the Scheme for Fund for Regeneration of Traditional Industries. It was launched in the year 2005 and 6, but this was revamped in 2014 and 15. This promotes traditional sectors and industries with the objective to sustainably increase their income or the income of the artisans that are involved in these industries or these crafts. The aim is to organize these traditional artisans into collectives or clusters in order to facilitate the product development, diversification and value addition. Now, the primary objective of this scheme of Safurti is to organize artisans and traditional industries into clusters, as we discussed. And the other important objective is competitiveness, or to enhance competitiveness. That is also the intent of this MSMED Act. Now what this scheme does is that it brings together artisans with the objective of leveraging them larger collective of resources and skills that leads to higher income prospects, diversification of their products and sustainable increase in income. So the objective of Safurti is to organize these artisans and traditional industries into clusters to improve competitiveness. This is one of the facets of the Act as well. We read while discussing the Act, or in our lecture on Introduction to the MSMED Act, that the Act intent is to enhance or improve or increase the competitiveness amongst MSEs. So what Safurti does is that through creation of clusters of these industries and artisans, it increases their competitiveness, creates employment opportunities and marketability of their products. And by bringing all these artisans together, it helps to leverage collective resources and skills, leading to better income prospects and sustained growth or better income, sustainable increase in income. This also results in product development, their diversification of products, and value addition to their enterprises. The key achievements or milestones that have been achieved by this scheme is that it has so far approved 513 clusters, and out of them 376 are functional. A total grant of 1,336 crores was extended to support these clusters by the government, and this has resulted into sustainable employment opportunities that have been generated for around 2,20,800 artisans in 376 clusters as of December 12, 2024. Now, with this, we come to an end of our lecture on the schemes and policies that have been rolled out for the MSMEs by the Government of India. We have discussed only few schemes that are relevant, and some of the schemes are only applicable to micro enterprises, and some are also applicable to micro and small enterprises. A few of them are applicable to micro, small, and medium enterprises in total. So we have discussed which scheme applies to which enterprise, which category of the enterprise, and with this we come to an end of this lecture. Thank you.